Hello, everyone. I hope you're continuing to have a great day. It is Tracy coming to you live from New Hampshire Writers Project headquarters. And you might be aware that we have been broadcasting most of December featuring our author members who are part of our holiday showcase this year. And this afternoon, we are talking with Esmeralda Stone. How are you, Esmeralda?
Hi, Tracy. I'm very well. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's wonderful to have you here. Thanks for taking time out of your day. I'm
Absolutely.
really I'm really interested in learning more about you and your books. And I love the name Esmeralda. It's such a beautiful name. I know it's a pen name for
It
you,
is.
but I'm just curious, can you share with us how you came up with the name Esmeralda? It just sounds so mystical and magical.
So, when I decided to get back into writing and writing sort of in a different genre, I did want to write under a pen name to keep my other writing separate. And so my husband and I were going through making lists of names, so first names and last names, and we had some really good ones. But then I would go and research to find out if there was actually somebody with that name. And so many of the names were real legitimate people. And so I ended up with Esmeralda Stone, because there wasn't one that
Okay,
I could find.
that
If
makes
there is
sense.
one out there, I'm sorry. But I do love the name Esmeralda, and right now I am writing contemporary romance, and it felt like a very kind of romancy
I
author
agree.
name.
Yeah.
And then the stone kind of worked, and again, it I didn't do it that way on purpose, but because Esmeralda with emerald in it is a stone, and it sort of just fell together. So that's how I became Esmeralda Stone.
I love it. Well, it's a powerful name too. And Esmeralda, I mean, it's a longer name, but it kind of rolls off the tongue. And when I
Hmm.
say it, it just makes me think of the Wizard of Oz because I'm a big fan of the Wizard of
Hmm.
Oz. So it
Yeah,
just seems like
absolutely.
a character I would have seen in the Wizard of Oz.
Well, good. I'm glad you like it. I have
I
actually
do. I
gotten
love it.
very good feedback on it.
Oh,
So,
good. Okay.
yeah.
Well, and I'm excited to talk about your book because I know that you just had the next one in the two book series that came out. So you've
Good.
got Loving Remains, which we're going
Hmm.
to talk about today. And I know you'll
Yep,
tell us a little bit about the
definitely.
next one, which is Lasting Remains.
Hmm.
So kind of paint the picture here for us without giving too much away. Tell us about, what style of writing and also, what we can expect in this book.
Okay. So, when I got back into writing, I had taken several years just because of real life and actual day job, where I wasn't writing much. And so I'm always writing down and creating and saving ideas and bits and pieces. And so I've always been interested in the death industry, funeral homes, death doulas, people who work in that industry. And I had an idea for a book that would take place in a funeral home, and I just couldn't really make it work in my mind. And I had started thinking about it a few years ago. And so when I got back into writing and decided that I would try writing a contemporary romance, I started thinking about, okay, what ideas have I had in the past, and could I turn any of those into a romance? And so I kind of fell into this one and took bits and pieces of it, um, and just started kind of brainstorming, and even when I started brainstorming this one, it's still sort of changed. So the idea of the book is, Isaac Collins, who is the main male character, has been running a funeral home with his sister and his brother. And Isaac is he's early 40s. So I do like to write kind of characters who are a little more mature, and just, I guess maybe because of my own age, so that's how my brain is. So it makes sense to write characters
Yeah,
like that.
that makes sense.
But so he's been a funeral director for a very long time, and um, he and his family have, some issues. Who, everybody does. And Coraline Hughes, who is the main female character, Corey, she's also in the death industry, and she's a licensed funeral director, but she does what she calls death consulting. So it's more on the death doula side. Um, and she's a little more of a free spirit, and gets away from non-traditional funerals and burials. And so the book opens where Corey's at Tegan's funeral home, which is the funeral home Isaac and his siblings run and own. And she's there for the funeral of one of her old bosses. And so that's where we open up, is sort of in that scene. And then they meet fairly quickly in the book, and then things take off. So
Okay. Oh, I like that. Well, and let me ask you this too, because I didn't think about this yesterday when I was interviewing another author member, and one of the things they said in their book is that they wrote it without having the ending in mind, and they weren't sure if that was a good way to do it. And the next book they decided to have the ending in mind first. I'm curious your style. Do you tend to write knowing the ending, or kind of let the writing go free flow?
So I had a general idea on what was going to happen with the ending, and actually the way that the ending was going to go actually changed as well.
Okay.
And then I really didn't know the wrap up of the ending. So like that last section with Corey and Isaac, I didn't know what was going to happen with that until I got there. And the lovely thing, of course, with writing is you can get through and write and then realize, oh, okay, now I need this to happen
Right.
earlier because I need to have that set up. So I'm, as a writer, when I've written before, I've tried writing on a very strict outline, which does not work for me. I'm envious of authors who can do that. But I usually write, I have some very specific scenes in my mind that and I think they're probably kind of pivotal points in the story. And so where we see something turn or change with the characters or with the way the story is going. So I have those pivotal scenes. And so then I kind of write to those scenes or write from those scenes. So
Okay.
sometimes it's a beginning. Sometimes there's multiple scenes in the middle, might be an ending scene, but as long as I can get to those points and then move to the next one, I usually do okay.
Well, I find it fascinating just the thought process that authors go through to write their books, because if you're like, I'm a visual learner, so I know that
Mhm.
my style of writing a book would be very different than someone who is more right brain versus left brain thinker. So it's always interesting to hear the tools of the trade from different authors. So thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Well, and I'm curious too, have you painted yourself into any of the characters in your book? Do they take on any of your personality traits, or friends and family as well?
I don't think so. Not that I've really noticed. But I certainly put my personality in the
Okay.
book. So it is fun having people who know me read the book or read things that I've written and tell me that they can hear me telling them the story because it's so much my voice. Or I have kind of a dark, morbid sense of humor, and so a lot of those things tend to come into my books.
Hmm,
And
okay.
so people telling me, yep, I read that and I definitely knew it was something that you wrote, right? Because it's so me. And so I think that's more so. I will say, um, I think with writing, so not necessarily personality things, but I certainly like writing about things that I wish I had done or could do. So whether it's a career path. So like I said, I've always been interested in the death industry. And so I always thought, okay, if I could do it again, would I go to school to become a funeral director?
Hmm.
Um, and so I think that's part of the fun of writing too, right? Is you can create this life for yourself that you can't really do, um, and see what was going to happen with that.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point, and that
I've
can
done
be
that.
a lot of fun. That whole journey of discovering and researching and creating different scenes and characters. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
I get imagine.
absolutely. And it I had a thought and I lost it. but yes, I think absolutely that doing that research and learning these different things, that's part, I guess reading is such an escape for so many people, right? So, but the problem with reading is you're only reading the stories that someone else has created. So if you can't find that thing that you want to read, or that escapism that you want, that's where writing is so lovely, because if you can't find it out there, you can write it and you can make that happen. And so I think that's one of the things too that that really pointed me towards writing, is because I was kind of wondering, well, what happened to that person, or why isn't there a story about this? And it's like, well, I guess I'll create one.
I love it.
And so that's what happens.
Perfect. And if you are just joining us, we're talking with Esmeralda Stone, author of Loving Remains, and she is one of over 55 featured authors in this year's holiday showcase, which you can learn more about at nhwritersproject.org. And you will be able to see all the amazing works from our members, as well as look for something unique for that book lover on your gift list. And you'll be supporting the local literary community at the same time. And we really appreciate that. So Esmeralda, tell me a little bit about early influences in your writing. What authors do you read and enjoy?
So I read well, I don't read as much as I used to, right? So I'll be honest about that. As far as kind of romance and contemporary romance, Jennifer Cruzy has always been a favorite and kind of a sure thing for me. Iona Andrews, I think, is fantastic. One of my very, very favorite books is by Ariana Franklin, and it's Mistress of the Art of Death, which is phenomenal. Sharon Shin. I mean, I have quite a few authors that I go through.
Yeah.
I'm not great about reading, like finding new authors. I have a harder and harder time, though the showcase has been fantastic, because I've picked up all kinds of new authors, both fiction and nonfiction. So I'm very excited about that, especially other authors from New Hampshire. Yeah. So that's been great.
And it's nice knowing you're supporting your members, your peers and your members locally as well, which is very nice.
Yeah.
Well, tell me, you've got a second book coming out too, and it just launched this month?
Yeah, actually just this morning. I just published this morning. So the second book is Lasting Remains. So it is a follow-on book to Loving Remains, about two of the characters that you meet in the first book. But it is a standalone book, so you don't have to read the first book, though, of course, like so many books that follow on, it is helpful, just because then you know what things are alluded to, because I try very hard in the second book not to give away things that happened in the first book. So that was an interesting experience too, because I knew when I started the first book, I knew there would be a follow-on book. And so I actually wrote the first book. I wrote a couple drafts, had it good enough to then send to my very early readers. And then I started writing the second book. And I wanted the second book written so that any information that needed to show up in the first book, I could then have in that first book before I published the first one. So, which is one of the reasons I was able to put two books out so close, because the first one was published in October, and then I just published this one.
Well, congratulations. It's kind of a good thing that we had the live broadcast today, if you just launched it today.
Yeah, well, and I missed a couple of my dates, my publishing dates that I planned to have it out. And I have early readers, and I have people who read through for editing things, but I do a lot of the editing myself. Career-wise, I was a technical writer and editor. And so, I do a lot of that. So I kind of blew past my deadlines, because I still found things that I wanted to fix. So it worked really well this morning that I was able to say, okay, here we go, push it out. And then had this discussion with you. So
that's perfect. Well, last question before I let you go. Sure. If someone is thinking of people on their, the book lovers in their life, who would this book best be suited for? Who would really love your style of writing?
So I write very concisely. So if you like lots and lots of heavy detail, this book is probably not for you, though there is plenty of detail. But I write so that it reads very fast. And that was one of the things that people have told me is they liked how fast it moved. So it is kind of more of a mature book. There's I put a lot of humor in it and lightheartedness, but it does cover some heavier topics. It is in the death industry. Yep. But if you like romance and you like mysteries, and spicy, because it is kind of spicy, steamy.
Ooh, I like that.
So yeah. So as long as you're okay with those things, strong language, this one might be for you. I love it. Every time I've read it, I am just so pleased with it, and I've just loved it. So
excellent. Oh, well, it's been so interesting talking to you. I really appreciate your time.
And thank you, Tracy.
Absolutely. Happy to do it. And for those of you listening, thanks for taking time out of your day as well. Please go to esmeraldastone.com for more information on Esmeralda, as well as the 2 books that we talked about today. Thank you again, Esmeralda, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday.
You as well. Thank you, Tracy.
Thanks. Take care, everyone.